If you're trying to get out of your car lease and you want to do it quickly, there are a few different paths you can take. Some sound simple. Some sound simple but come with fine print. And some depend entirely on what your lease agreement allows. Today, I'm breaking down the most common ways to exit a car lease, what's realistically fast in today's market, and where services like Lease End fit into the mix if you want to keep your car without going through dealership hoops. This is a purely educational breakdown, so you can understand all of your options before you make a decision. How lease buyouts work. Let's start with how lease buyouts work in general. Nearly all standard auto leases give you the option to buy your car at the end of the lease for the price listed in your contract called the residual value. That end of lease buyout option is extremely common. On top of that, many lease agreements also allow an early lease buyout, meaning you can purchase the car before the official end date. This does depend on your lender and the exact terms in your contract. Some allow it anytime. Some require a minimum number of payments first, and a small number don't allow early buyouts at all. When you buy out early, your payoff amount usually includes the residual value plus some combination of remaining payments and early termination fees. So the number is typically higher if you buy it out in the middle of the lease instead of waiting until the end. Before choosing this path, you should always check your actual contract or call your leasing company to confirm what they allow and what your real payoff amount is. Ways to get out of a lease quickly. Now, let's go through the main options you have if you want to get out of your lease as fast and as cleanly as possible. We'll start with the options for people who want to keep the car and then move to options for people who want to walk away. The first option is buying the car directly from the lender that holds your lease. You request a payoff quote. You either pay cash or get an auto loan on your own, and then you complete the buyout. Upsides, you avoid mileage penalties, wear and tear charges, and the disposition fee because you're not turning the car in. And if your car's market value is higher than what you owe, you gain equity. Downsides, you're responsible for all of the logistics, finding the payoff, securing the loan, handling the title transfer, registration, and the new plates at the DMV. This works, but it's not the quickest or easiest if you're on a tight timeline. You can also ask your own bank or credit union for a loan to cover the buyout. Many will do this if you meet their requirements, but just like a direct buyout, your bank typically only provides the loan. All the coordination with the leasing company and the DMV is still in your hands. It's a good option if you prefer working with your own bank and you're fine doing the paperwork yourself. You can also go back to the dealership and ask them to facilitate the buyout or trade your leased car into something else. This is convenient for people who want everything handled in one place, but dealerships often add their own fees, perform inspections, and take longer because of how many steps are handled in-house. This route works, but it's typically not the fastest and not always the most cost-effective. Now, let's talk about a newer option. Services like Lease End that specialize in helping you buy out your leased car without doing everything yourself. Some online platforms focus on refinancing or general auto loans. But services in this category are built specifically around lease buyouts, so the process is designed to be much smoother. Here's how it typically works. You enter your car information. The service walks you through finding your payoff amount. They then shop multiple lenders on your behalf to get you a buyout loan. Once you choose the offer you want, they'll coordinate the whole buyout process from start to finish. In Lease End's case, they do also handle the title transfer, registration, and new plates on your behalf, meaning you skip the DMV and that line entirely. For people who want to buy out their leased cars quickly and avoid the dealership logistics, These services tend to offer the most streamlined and predictable experience. If you don't want to keep the car, you might be able to sell it to a company like CarMax or Carvana, but only if your leasing company allows it. Some lenders do, some don't. Some allow it but add restrictions. If it's allowed and the offer is higher than your payout, you might walk away with cash in your pocket. But this option is very contract dependent, and the speed depends entirely on how quickly your lender processes third-party payoffs. You can also try transferring your lease to someone else. This works through marketplaces where people actually look for short-term lease takeovers. But your leasing company has to allow transfers, and the new driver must be approved, and you may still be partially responsible if they stop paying. It can be fast, or it can take months, depending on your car and your payment. So what is the fastest and most predictable option? When you compare all these options, the fastest and most predictable path usually depends on one key question. Do you want to keep the car? If the answer is yes, a buyout is usually the cleanest option. And services that specialize in buyouts often save the most time because they combine the loan and the paperwork into one streamlined process and handle the DMV steps for you. If the answer is no, you're comparing your payoff amount to what a third party or another dealership is willing to offer. But that all depends heavily on your leasing company's rules. So the fastest option really comes down to which one involves the fewest people, fewest approvals, and fewest moving parts. So yes, there are multiple legitimate ways to get out of a lease quickly. Some involve keeping the car. Some involve selling it or transferring it. And all depend entirely on what your contract allows. Start by getting your payoff quote. Confirm what your lease agreement allows. Compare a few real numbers, and then choose the path that saves you the most time and aligns with what you want next. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more.